Today I'm going to be replacing the starter on my 2002 Chevy Silverado, and the vehicle I owned previous to this was a 96, and most of the starters, if not all of them, are on the back passenger side, and they're all about the same make, because this came off of my old truck right here, the new starter. These are usually the more aggravating connections to get to, but it's going to be these two bolts back here that I'm going to be working on right now. If you go behind your tire here, kind of on the back side of your engine, I'll be going for these two bolts right here. But before you start pulling those apart, you're going to want to make sure to have your battery connections off. Excuse me.
You on a moolah? Moolah.
I have a battery set up where the connections go on the side, but you may have some that go on the top here. So just disconnect these before you work on the starter. And as far as the size goes, should be 14 millimeter. And before you get under there, you're going to want to have some safety glass to keep stuff from falling in your eyes. I'm going to grab a wrench and some sockets, that way I can use the wrench on the back side as kind of a cheater. And I'll show you more from there. Alright, I got my bolts broke loose here. Just get your ratchet on there. And I had to use that wrench for a cheater, break them loose. You just continue to break these loose and lower down, but make sure not to break your wires on the front end of this. You'll have to take them off as well. Just can't get to it right now. Alright, I got my starter popped out of the little hole, which was more aggravating than I thought. You had to kind of shove it up and then bring it down. And this will give me access to my wires here, and it should be 13 and 8 millimeter, and this one just connects back to the starter, so don't have to worry about that one. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pop those off, because it looks like this starter is going to be different than my other one, primarily because this metal bracket here and this metal bracket here are about straight across from one another. Alright, it's the next day. I got the right starter to continue on with my project. Just watch what wire you connect to each of these connections here. Just keep track which one you disconnected, but it's a little obvious, kind of smaller wire for this one. And if you want any ideas, I just use an old saddle blanket lay on when I get up under my truck. But you can use one of those rollers or any other kind of pad you got. Alright, I got my first big wire set, and next I'll be going for this little wire here for that front connection there like I told you about. And I'll be able to shove it up and put it back in its place. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but I'm going to try to show you how I can shove it in this hole here. Go up, make sure to get that back end in place, kind of in there. There we go. Just put my bolts back in place. Now I'm just going to get my ratchet on there and finish ratcheting on up. Alright, I got my starter in place, and just one final note for those of y'all out there is don't tighten one bolt all the way in. Make sure to kind of go back and forth until you get it close, then you can get them tightened down. And now I'll be moving on to hooking the battery cables back up. there we go. Good as new.